Happy Thanksgiving, you bunch of jive turkeys. You're listening to America's plumpest and most delicious podcast, The Pod People. I'm Chekhov's blunderbuss, Matisse Van Rossum.
I'm the CEO of Cream, Ben Sheets.
Hey, yo, I'm the evil little elf, Cleveland Mosier, who's definitely had a few White Claws at this point. Definitely remembered his name. I wore a trench coat into the theater, and I snuck in some White Claws, and I don't know. I'm not saying I regret it. Like
You're becoming the resident alky on the podcast now.
Yeah, I should probably use off a little bit.
You've taken the mantle from me.
Damn.
Not that I'm ever not drinking on the podcast.
About to say,
but
It's so funny. On the way into the theater, Cleve turns to us and he's like, "Can you tell I'm sneaking in snacks?" While he wears like a giant trench coat, like the most conspicuous outfit. Like if he had closed it, it would look like he was like three
elves.
Yeah.
Three elves in a trench
evil
coat.
little elves
Three
in a
evil
trench
little
coat.
elves in a trench coat.
Yeah.
Well, we just got back from the theater. This is our Thanksgiving episode.
Yes,
It is a
Thanksgiving.
happy Thanksgiving. We're not recording this on Thanksgiving, of course, but we did just get back from seeing Eli Roth's Thanksgiving in the theater.
This is coming
Sure
out on
did.
Thanksgiving, isn't it?
Huh?
This is coming out on Thanksgiving, isn't it?
For non-Patreon subscribers, yeah.
Wow.
This
that's
is
pretty
it.
cool.
You might be listening to this on Thanksgiving,
neat.
right now.
Or if you subscribe for only a few dollars a month, you can
Hush.
get this 2
Shout-outs at
days
the end.
early.
You
Shout-outs
could be
at the end.
you could be
Hush,
listening to this on a Tuesday instead.
On a Tuesday.
You could be listening to this back in time if
I
you
will say that an Eli Roth movie is a good movie for sneaking booze into the theater. It's a good movie for
Yeah.
getting drunk, having a little party, getting a little silly. I think our audience, not our audience, but I think the audience was great.
Yeah, I
everyone
mean-
was rowdy, was having fun.
Go
Overall,
see this
never
with an
annoying.
audience. This is like a perfect.
Overall, yeah, this
people,
was
people were like shouting when people were getting killed. It was fun. It was a
this
good
was an
time.
ideal theater experience. Friday night, pretty packed theater. Everybody was in a good mood. Everybody was laughing.
Yeah. No one was being a shit. No one was like on their phone. No one was like fucking around. Like it was just people like having fun, laughing loudly, and going ooh when someone died, and that's fun. That's good.
This was a good night at the movies. I think we all came out of this very satisfied. You know, I think we went in with tempered expectations, but
I thought it was going to be mid. I thought I went in like tempered, below tempered even, I would say. I thought there was nothing about the trailer that did anything for me. I thought it was going to be kind of mid. I think that Eli Roth is all right. And I think he really showed up with his best for this movie. I had a great fucking time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably the biggest Eli Roth defender on this podcast.
I have never said a bad word about Eli Roth.
Hey, I mean-
other than that Green Inferno kind of sucks.
Knock Knock was you liked Knock.
I liked Knock Knock. I gave it a good rating.
Yeah, that's
I thought
right. It was just Cleve that was.
it was
the
weird.
hater,
It was
the anger.
weird and pervy, but I liked Knock Knock. I like Eli Roth. I love Cabin Fever. I love Hostel. I've been a noted Eli Roth fan on this show. So I was pretty excited for this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't always show up, but when he does, it's always a good time.
Yeah, and you know, one thing that was getting me a little excited for this is like, considering this is loosely based on like a Grindhouse trailer from the Grindhouse double feature all the way back in like what, like 09,
Way earlier than that.
07? I don't even know when Grindhouse originally came out.
2007. Yeah, you were right. at the same
Considering
time.
this was like his original idea way back then, and he's making it now. I was thinking it could either be really good or really bad. Either it got stuck in development hell, or like this was truly like a passion project.
Yeah,
And I think it turned out to be the latter.
absolutely.
100%.
Before we started recording, we watched the Thanksgiving Grindhouse trailer to refresh all of our memories, and I'm surprised like how many like bits that he carried over directly into this. It was fun to see. I kind of wish I had watched the trailer before seeing the movie. Getting those little Easter eggs, I guess.
Yeah.
But
It was fresh and fun. seeing
yeah,
the
man,
film.
no, this was a really good time. I wish there were more like mid-budget schlocky holiday themed horror movies. Like, we haven't done a fucking Thanksgiving themed horror movie on the podcast since fucking Pilgrim, which was like 5 years ago, because there just fucking aren't any. We did them all our first Thanksgiving with doing the Thanksgiving movies and Blood Freak, and like, that's it.
Yeah, I hope this movie does fucking gangbusters at the box office.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, our theater was full. This is opening weekend, so I mean, it's looking good, I think.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, they set it up for a sequel at the end. But yeah, man, I feel like I think Eli Roth is the perfect person to do a novelty holiday themed horror movie.
100%.
Yeah. Clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish that he would just become like the hallmark of horror movies and just do I mean like the Hallmark gift card corporation. And just that like every holiday that comes around, it's like, all right, Eli Roth's St. Patrick's Day. Yeah. You know,
Eli
like,
Roth's Easter.
Yeah.
Easter Roth.
Easter Roth. Well, he's Jewish, so probably wouldn't do an Easter one. But
maybe he's the perfect person, you know, that outside in perspective.
My God, you're right. But yeah, I mean, I think the reason he's ideal for this type of movie is because he's far from highbrow, but he's clever and he has a great understanding of gore and schlock. And I think that all of those things are exactly what you need for this type of movie.
Yes.
And it paid off. And, you know, I think we were all a little worried that the trailer was going to show everything.
And very little.
Well, I'd say it showed a fair amount, but there were a lot of extra things that the trailer. Yeah, it showed far from everything.
I don't know if I ever saw a Red Band trailer for this one. Like maybe in
you
one
definitely
did. Yeah, we
really?
saw. Yeah. They played Red Band trailers for this movie multiple times.
And
in
they
the theater
show a
this
couple
year.
of the kills in the Red Band trailer, but honestly, like, we get some of the best Eli Roth gore in this movie.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is not even referenced in the trailer.
Which there's a lot. Like, every kill is gratuitous. It takes it to that like, just above and beyond out there level. Like, it's all gross and nasty and hideous and what you'd expect from someone who's been doing this for so long now. I mean, like, fucking Hostel.
But most importantly, it all plays into the Thanksgiving bit. It all stays on theme, and all the kills are still like fun and clever.
Pretty much all of the gore is practical too.
Yeah.
Which I fucking loved.
Yes,
like, I have to say, like, you know, even though I really liked the new Saw movie, I was thinking in comparison, like, the two in terms of, like, gratuity, and, like, the gore in this is so much more visceral.
Yeah.
Than even the Saw movie in a weird way.
I mean, Eli Roth has, I feel like, always had a great sense for that.
Yeah.
You know, even since his early days. I mean, Hostel is popular for a reason.
Yeah.
Very, very gory. And as much as I don't like the Green Inferno, like, it has some just, like, absolutely insane gonzo practical gore. I mean, you know, Eli Roth is like Tarantino, like, he's inspired by 70s exploitation. You know, Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez are like his guys. So, no surprises here for anybody who's familiar with Eli Roth, but overall, a really good time.
It's what you'd want out of an Eli Roth Thanksgiving movie.
Yes.
In every way.
Let's jump in a little more in depth into, like, details of what's going on. So, like,
perfect setup.
Yeah, I love it. So it's set on, like, Thanksgiving night.
Well, yeah, it starts with a family, like, getting ready to celebrate Thanksgiving, but they are immediately broken apart by Black Friday.
Well, yeah, we start with two families, right? We start with, like, the sheriff coming to, like, spend Thanksgiving with his friends. The husband, his buddy, gets called into work because the store is like opening early for Black Friday. They're opening on Thursday night. And so as he's going in, then we cut to the family of the guy who owns the big sort of, local off-brand Right Mart. That is doing this Black Friday sale, and he's sitting in his big mansion with his family, and they're having their very nice Thanksgiving, and, the daughter goes off with some of her friends, and they have to stop by the Right Mart on the way.
The friends are so fratty and obnoxious.
Yes.
It's
just
great.
I think one of the things that this movie does so well is accurately portray the people of Massachusetts. It's set in Plymouth, of course, and Eli Roth is a Massachusetts guy. I think he's from like Newton or something, which is near Boston. So
the accents are all on point.
And I think that it's like obvious that he has a very good sense for what the people are like. Like people from the South get a bad fucking rap, but fucking Massachusetts people, yeah,
fuck you, like
fucking massholes.
Yeah.
And
I love that, and it's set up so well with the crowd out front of the Right Mart, all shouting at the employees and the rest with all the fuck yous and everything.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
I love that he got Tim Dillon to be one of the security guards.
Oh God, I thought he looked familiar and I couldn't fucking place it. But yes, you're right. It is fucking Tim Dillon. Of course it is.
Yeah.
What is he?
He's a comedian.
He's a comedian
on,
and a podcast guy. Yeah.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, just so you've got all these people like lining up outside the store. They have like a fucking doorbusters thing where everybody who comes in gets a free waffle iron. And everyone's like, I want my fucking waffle iron.
Yeah, and it's great because, like, really, if you just want to boil it all down, really, like, the worst of the heartbeat of America is Black Friday.
Yeah.
You know, like it really is, it's capitalism at its frothing masses finest. It really does capture us at our worst, and it works so well to start this movie with that.
Well, let's not get too far ahead because they do a great job introducing all the characters in this. Our group of high school fratty, preppy.
Yeah,
you can't call them fratty if they're still in high school.
Yeah.
But though I mean, the actors are like all in their 30s, like they're
right.
All,
yeah,
like,
I mean they're all
usual horror movie fashion.
They're all preppy, popular
the main
kids.
girl's dad owns the Right Mart. They go in through the employees' entrance to get in early to get what they need,
and they're like in the windows, like mocking the people outside, which is funny because like one of the people outside is also like clearly on one of the town over football teams from one of the
the Plymouth and Hanover rivalry. Another way you know that Eli Roth is a fucking Massachusetts boy. But yeah, so like one of the protagonist's friends is like mocking like the Hanover kid outside who he had like gotten in a fight with at like a bar the last weekend or something, and just like showing off that he's in the store like buying stuff before them, and it just like really whips the crowd up into a frenzy, and they jump over the barricades. Tim Dillon runs off, leaving just one other security guard by himself.
The other security guard locks all the doors.
Specifically, like the security guards come out and they say on like one of their megaphones, like, "Hey guys, you're gonna have to wait another moment longer." And the Hanover quarterback like grabs the megaphone and he shouts back to the crowd, "All right, we're opening.
Stores open."
And so that causes everyone to think, "Oh yeah, we're ready to go," and they all start again like cattle in a herd, just pouring over each other.
Well, and that escalates into essentially a riot, and I love
a classic Black Friday
how it's shot
stampede.
because it feels like it's a culmination of all those fucking World Star videos from Black Friday. You see fights and mayhem. But it's shot like it's a fucking war movie.
Yeah.
It's shot like it's fucking Normandy or
it does.
something.
No, it is. It's like the Normandy scene in Saving Private Ryan, like when they're storming the beach. It really is. And
I think it's really intentional.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, and it is so effective for it too. It's interesting because the thing itself is a hot bummer to me. Like the whole idea of Black Friday and like people like fucking stampeding over each other for fucking waffle irons and flat screen TVs is it makes me sick. And also feel like the people have been stampeded over that stuff. And,
Yeah, I mean,
and to treat it with like such a tongue in cheek thing,
people die literally every year.
Yeah,
during Black Friday,
and to give it like such a tongue in cheek view, it also kind of makes it as pathetic as it should be made. You know, on one hand, it's like, well, you know, like we're being kind of cynical about like people dying when people do get fucking stampeded during Black Friday, but also like it kind of should be made like that. So like, I don't know. I also like it's an Eli Roth movie. Like getting moral about it is kind of silly. And I get that.
There's a sense of cruelty to a lot of the kills in this movie that feels like so at home in like a classic exploitation movie.
Yes.
I can't think of a movie that's done it as well since like Piranha 3D even, I think. But the whole time the riot scene was going on, I kept thinking, this is what non-Americans think of America, isn't it?
Yeah.
But they're right. They're right. It is. We're fucking hogs. We're fucking animals. And you know, of course, that is the great irony of Black Friday following up Thanksgiving. You know, a day when you're supposed to be celebrating what you have, what you're grateful for, what you're thankful for, and then the very next day you're lining up to trample people to get 50% off a fucking Xbox. You know,
yeah. Well, it's into like the events themselves like play out like so effectively as like one beat after another. It's like it just keeps going wrong. You know, the first thing to happen is like people, you know, when the guy like grabs the megaphone and she's like, all right, they're open, and like the whole crowd rushes the doors, but they haven't unlocked the doors yet.
Right.
So people are just getting like crushed against the glass, and the glass starts cracking, and one of the security guard just runs off, and the coward, and then though I mean I would too, but like and then one of the security guards is like behind the glass. They go to unlock one of the doors, but it's too late, and the whole thing just comes down over the top of him, and people run over the glass in the door, and him crushing him. Then immediately after that, we see this really effective shot of some of the broken glass in the door frame, like cutting into someone. And
getting a guy in the neck.
Yeah.
And what's funny is for like the whole rest of the scene, he's still like stumbling around, like going to grab his waffle iron with like blood shooting out of his neck.
He still wants his waffle iron.
And then he like collapses dead, and he's like holding the waffle iron, and someone else runs up and like pulls it out of his
dying hands,
his dead grip, literally prying the waffle iron from his cold dead hands. And it keeps cutting back to like the security guard under the door being like crushed,
pulverized,
and like our protagonist's like boyfriend, who is established as like he's like a star baseball player. Like he's such a good pitcher that he's basically guaranteed a college career and then moving on to the major
got those
leagues.
Fastball arms.
Yeah, he's got the golden arm. The golden arm.
That's
arm.
Right. Yeah.
And he goes to try to help the security guard being crushed. And he's like crawling across the floor, and someone just steps on his arm and just like snaps it in half, like gruesomely.
And what's great too, because like before that, he was it was the other guy who was recording.
Yeah, the real broy, the dumb, typical dumb football jock is like standing up on one of the checkout counters, like filming the whole thing, like. Might as well
like
be
a second away from yelling World
Star. I was gonna say might as well be yelling World Star. And what we didn't mention is before the whole riot starts, like the manager who we saw like getting called into work earlier, his wife shows up with like a Tupperware, is like, you know, since you have to work, I want you to at least be able to enjoy some of the Thanksgiving food, right? So she's there at the store when the riot breaks out, and she falls on the ground and gets her neck broken by somebody just running into her head with a shopping cart. And I'm like,
And then the wheels.
her hair gets caught up under the wheel, and it like partially scalps her too, like as she's dying. Again, like you mentioned, just like really cruel, and just like
she was
horrible.
there just like to deliver like some Thanksgiving leftovers.
Yeah, to just like to just
really
bring her husband some Thanksgiving leftovers since he had to work for Black Friday, you know.
But again, in like classic Eli Roth fashion, like the gore is so cruel, but it's done in like such a sly way with such a sense of humor that like it's not off-putting necessarily as much as it could be, because
it's so absurd.
Yeah. Well, it's shot like a war movie.
We then jump forward a year in time.
Yeah, we cut directly. The next thing we see is a YouTube video.
Yes,
showing a compilation of the chaos that
it's like the YouTube video that like our like bro-y jock dude uploaded, and just like he's put like annotations in on it, like arrows pointing to things, like it's like there's like one that like points to like the dude with the glass like in his neck is like, no waffle iron for you, bitch, or something like that. And then at the very end it like cuts to black. It's like RIP to the victims, and then praying hands emoji.
And then like and subscribe.
Generally, I cannot stand like modern commentary like that. Like generally, I cannot stand like the on Instagram this and we have to get so many likes. Like I think probably the best example of that where I really hated it was Glass. You know, where like they do like all the like it's in such poor taste. It doesn't really have an understanding of it, but. This movie, I have to give credit, like, they get it. They really know, like, how to play commentary to it, and it's proper commentary, and it's good for it.
I won't say it's necessarily the most current commentary. Like, Eli Roth is 50 years old, and, like, it does show in a sense that, like, especially like the way the young people talk in this, it feels like a little dated. Like it's not terrible. It's not like
there's a hello fellow kids.
It's not like in fucking Slender Man where Joey King is referencing the Karate Kid or whatever. You know, like it's not that bad, but it is like they do all talk like kids talked like 5 years ago. You know what I mean?
I didn't really mind that.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't bother me because
it's always played for jokes.
Because it's like the young people of our generation, but I do feel like some Zoomers and like Gen Alpha kids watching this might be like, what is this slang? Like nobody talks like this, you know?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, that combined with all of the actors being like in their late 20s at the youngest kind of just adds to
that's classic.
Weird slasher vibe.
That's classic shit.
I fuck with it. It's fine.
Same.
But yeah, we get that, and then there's a news footage sequence where, you know, the reporter is talking about all the things that went down, and, you know, they interview people on the street about it, and they mention all the security cam footage mysteriously vanished.
That news broadcast is really nice because it sets up several red herrings. I mean, very obvious red herrings, but like you know, one of the people they're interviewing is like the manager whose wife died. Like he's like the ex-manager, you know, and he's been spending the last year like trying to get the guy who owns the Right Mart and his whole family like sent to prison, whatever.
They stage a protest in front of the Right Mart. They all have these really dumb, funny signs, like picket signs. One says like, "It's Thanksgiving, not thanks buying."
I think I saw one. I can't be 100% sure, but I think at one point, it might have been during the parade sequence later, where I saw one that I thought said Reichmart. Like,
yeah, no, that was in the newsreel footage.
Okay, cool. I'm glad I saw that right. I thought that was pretty funny. And, like, the YouTube video that we saw earlier was titled, like, Fight Mart. Lots of puns. But, like, we set up this guy, so he's obviously holding a grudge. They mention the boyfriend who got his arm broken. It's like, oh, it was a career. He had a promising career ahead of him and then suffered a career-ending injury
and vanished off the face of the earth.
It's like nobody has seen him in a year,
Yeah.
So it's like setting up all these people. It's like, all of these people have,
He's gone because he's scheming.
They have motive to become a masked killer.
That's one thing that I wasn't necessarily expecting, but I was really pleasantly surprised from in this movie is, like, it follows the tradition of something like Scream, where, like, it's a slasher movie, but really it's a whodunit.
Yeah.
This movie is very Scream
extremely
inspired. And all for the best. Like,
yeah.
I love all of the Scream elements, but the structure of this film is very much like that. And hell yeah, good for it.
But
It
yeah,
works
you're
really well.
you're absolutely right. Like,
Yeah, it is like a whodunit.
it sets you up. It's like, okay, we have seen during this central inciting incident, this riot, this Black Friday riot, we've been introduced to all these characters. Who is the killer? Mm-hmm. And spend the whole movie trying to figure that out. And like I said, set up some very obvious red herrings who it's like, okay, like, there's no fucking way this person is actually the killer.
Yeah,
right?
well, what I love, too, is they set up reasonable motivations for a lot of different characters to be the killer.
Absolutely.
So you don't really know completely.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so you've got, like, in terms of, like, characters that could be the killer, you've got, like, the manager whose wife was killed, right? You've got the ex-boyfriend who got his arm broken. You've got, like, the new weird boyfriend who is, like, kind of an asshole and, like,
Almost too perfect.
Almost too perfect, yeah. You've got the sheriff, but you've also got, like, the new sheriff's deputy who's, like, new to town. He's not from here. The first time we see him, he walks into the diner and they give him, like, the John Cava mask, and we see him put that on and the hat. He's like, yeah, everybody's gonna be wearing one of these, and he kind of, like, nods at the camera, and it's like, ooh, who is this guy, right? Like, he could be the killer too. It's just like, oh, there's this older kid who is like 30 in high school because he keeps failing, and his dad sells guns, and like he drives around like, with a truck full of guns and shit. It's just like, does all of this great setup for like you said, like a classic whodunit. Like, here are all of these fucking characters. Who could it be? Who could it be now?
Yeah, and, like, I gotta say, like, all the characters are pretty fully fleshed out, surprisingly. Like,
yeah.
They all have,
Certainly
like,
enough.
Okay. I'll disagree there slightly. I think all of the supporting characters are fleshed out really well.
Need to be.
Bizarrely, all of the supporting characters are really well fleshed out. Our core group of characters, not so much. Aside from our main protagonist, Jessica, who is the daughter of the guy who owns the Right Mart, right? Who she's the one who let her group of friends in there. It's like, she's pretty well fleshed out, and obviously, the ex-boyfriend who shows back up into town after a year, like, they're pretty fleshed out, but like, all the others, like, the various girlfriends, like, there's I guess the one
fodder,
you
man.
got
They're
the
bodies.
lead athlete jock guy.
Yeah.
He's a fucking dick and
a dipshit.
Yeah.
Classic dumb jock. I guess the scuba character is like kind of well fleshed out.
yeah.
I gotta say about our lead, but like the Jessica character. To me, it's important I preface all of this. Give me a second. But there's this exercise that's like fairly well known among actors. They go to like airports or whatever with a buddy, and their friend will like approach strangers and say like, "Hey, could you write on this card what you think my friend looks like?" And they'll write down, like, "Oh, he looks like he's scheming. Oh, he looks like whatever," and it helps actors kind of get a sense of like what kind of characters they should play and like what kind of person they are or they represent are untrustworthy or charming or whatever. And it's nothing like, I think the actress does a great job. I think that Jessica, she feels like she feels like she doesn't know what she's doing, and like and I think it's all like very intentional, but man, she looks illiterate. Like,
I had no idea where you were going.
Like,
with that.
yeah,
That's
me
not
either.
what I thought you would end up.
I wanted to preface and be kind, but
pretty
like
funny.
like she looks like she can't fucking spell truck. Absolutely, like looks like a cow that does not know that it's going to slaughter.
I think that's
it's
perfect
impressive
for her
and
character.
It is perfect for her character, and again, like it is. And I know that it sounds mean, but it really is, like, credit to the actress. She does a great job of it. And I'm sure she is quite intelligent and charming and kind as a person. But, like, her character...
She's not listening to this, bro.
Oh, man, it doesn't matter. It's about, you know, all kindness. Peace and love, baby, you know?
She's not gonna fuck you, bro.
All good, well, weird. But, like, no. It's about being kind. But,
I'll be honest, she did nothing for me in this. And by that's not necessarily an insult, because part of that nothing was she did not offend me.
she doesn't really need to do anything in the movie. It's not about her.
She's fine. Perfectly serviceable actress.
She's the lens we see the movie through, and
perfectly perfectly serviceable performance. Nothing character, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. But again, she's
good,
she's a protagonist. She's
honestly,
fine.
Like, I thought, like, she gave a pretty good performance overall, especially compared to some of the caricature outlier characters. And I was just looking it up. This was her first major film role. Like,
hey,
I guess she's done TV.
Yeah, fucking
there,
good for her, man. I like I said, I think she gave a perfectly serviceable performance.
Yeah, well, I know the friend, the other girl friend, not Yulia, not the Russian.
The other one.
Yeah, the other one. That's Addison Rae, who's like
she's
a
like a TikToker,
celebrity.
right? Yeah, I saw her name in the credits and I recognized the name, but I don't know anything. I feel so old, man. Yeah, I don't know who these people are, except for fucking the sheriff is Patrick Dempsey.
Well, and the wife, the owner's wife. Either her or the one that was killed. I can't remember.
The one who gets killed is Gina Gershon.
Gina Gershon, yeah.
She's barely in the movie. Yeah. Again, she gets run over by a shopping cart at the beginning and dies. So it's like, yeah, some names I recognize. Like, I recognize Patrick Dempsey, of course, but...
the mustachioed dad who owns Right Mart, I feel like I've seen him at something.
He's a pretty popular character
actor, yeah.
But you know who I can't shake off whenever I look at him? I'm like, this is Murr from Impractical Jokers with a mustache.
With a little mustache. Okay. I don't know if I've ever put that together, but I can see it.
He has the same facial structure. Maybe it's that they're both bald, too. That certainly doesn't help. But...
Ben thinks all bald men look the same.
Wow. Fucked up.
Disrespectful, frankly.
So we've got our cast, and of course, lo and behold, all the people responsible during the Black Friday incident are getting killed one at a time.
Yeah.
Starting with who they absolutely should have started with. Mm-hmm. I think that the waitress is set up.
The bitch waitress.
The bitch waitress. She's one of the. It's the shitty like quarterback and her at the front of the line, and they sort of represent the whole frothing crowd. And she's awful. She's shouting mean shit to them.
A fat American hog of a woman.
Yeah, and
respectfully,
absolutely respectfully. Like the actress is a
like that's what the character is supposed to be.
Yeah,
right?
and she nails it. And I love it because like she's this awful person and just miserable. And then we cut to a year later, and they're at a diner, and she's there. She's waitressing, and she's still rude and Boston-y, but almost in a charming way. And it's like, and it's a nice reminder that like, oh yeah, like crowd mentality. People become these like, utter monsters.
They get wrapped
She's
up.
still a piece of shit. She deserves.
Yeah,
to
I don't
die.
know. She's still pretty.
Like,
yeah,
I do like that. Like, oh, like suddenly we become after this horrible event, we just become a town again.
Yeah.
We're all just people living our lives, and she's a waitress there. So our protagonists are also there eating, so we get to kind of carry the plot through. And then after everyone leaves,
I could practically feel you vibrating on the edge of your seat every time we were watching a scene in the diner, waiting for somebody to order pancakes. I knew I could feel you.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Ben was between the two of us, and I could feel Cleveland over there, just like he was gonna do it. Somebody's gonna order pancakes so he can point and say, "I told you so."
Yeah. So on the car ride over to the movie theater, I said, I bet that at some point during the movie, in a la Cabin Fever, someone is going to order pancakes. And said, "Oh, pancakes. I love pancakes." As a stupid homage. I didn't want it to happen. Just for clarity, I thought it'd be really fucking dumb. And so I was like, I'm calling it now. It's gonna happen. You're gonna eat your words like pancakes. And there's going to be a stupid homage to that. And there wasn't.
There wasn't. Well, yeah, because I said no fucking way, because that movie is 20 years old, and in no other movie he's ever made has he done a pancakes reference. It's out of character.
And you know what?
Respect. He's not that that kind of self-referential filmmaker.
And I appreciate that.
To circle back around though to the waitress, like she is like the first kill. Right, mm-hmm. That not including the people who died in the stampede at the beginning. She's the first kill, and I love that whole scene.
Yeah, well, they show a good sequence of it in the Red Band trailer, mm-hmm. So we kind of,
but not how it ends.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. We get some good elements of it, the freezer element, for example.
So the killer shows up. He's dressed like a pilgrim. He's got the hat. He's wearing the John Carver mask.
It's pretty cool.
John Carver, the first governor of Plymouth Colony.
I gotta say, pretty iconic slasher design.
Yeah. Honestly, though,
great.
Simple, clean design, but it works. It looks good. I like it. He's got the big axe. He's fucking axe murderer. Yeah, he shows up. He starts. He shoves her face in the sink in the kitchen to get all wet, and then shoves her up against the open freezer door, so her face and her hands freeze to the door. And yeah, like you said, you see that in the trailer, and you see him take the axe and swing it at her, and it cuts. So you, of course, expect her to die there, but actually in the movie, she at the last minute rips her face and hands.
Away.
Yeah.
Yeesh. It's so gratuitous.
Fantastic little gag they do with that. Afterwards, she runs off and locks herself in the office, and she's trying to unlock her phone, but she doesn't have any fingertips anymore, and her face is all fucked up from having it ripped off, so she can't unlock the phone because she can't use the finger sensor.
No finger identification. There's no facial recognition.
There's no facial recognition, even though of course you can always make an emergency call from a cell phone. But it's an extremely funny gag.
Yeah.
And she hears the bell on the door and the diner rings, so she's like, oh, he's left. So she just decides to leave immediately. Pretty stupid, right? And runs out into the parking lot, and we see the killer behind the wheel of just an old shitty car, and he turns it on, and the headlights hit her, and of course she starts running in a straight line directly away from the car. And she gets to the edge of the parking lot as the car is coming up behind her, and she tries to dive into the dumpster, and she gets halfway in, and the car slams into the dumpster, which knocks the lid down and cuts her cleanly in half at the waist.
Well, not necessarily cleanly, but yeah,
well,
it cuts her in half for sure.
The cut is, I would say, the cut is very clean.
Yeah. But there's intestines everywhere. It's great. It's such a great
it's
film.
insane. Most dumpster lids are made of plastic. There's no dumpster in creation that would cut someone in half so cleanly that.
It's baffling.
But
it's so funny. It's a real cartoon.
Yeah, it's great. And then we see the next day that he has taken her lower half and put it on top of the sign at the right mark on like the stars, like shoved the star like up its ass,
I really
and he
like
posts to Instagram a picture of it and tags it something like 50% off.
Yeah, it's so good.
Very
that
funny.
shot of like the fireman going up the like slowly going up the ladder with the blanket to put it over the body.
Yeah, to cover it up
So
while the
That,
whole
that,
crowd.
kind of reminded me of Hot Fuzz with the
Yes, dude.
the
Oh,
decapitated body. Just such good practicals. And,
Yeah,
like,
it's great.
It's so fun because like after that scene, they go with the forensic team. And they're like peeling bits of skin off of the freezer
Yeah.
door, and like one guy has a bit of intestines by the dumpster, and it just looks like he's holding
A kielbasa.
I think
Yeah.
he's like straight up holding a rope of sausage
Yeah.
in that shot.
so good.
It was great too because like the whole audience laughed at that.
Yeah.
Like, that it's like, yeah, he's just putting a kielbasa in a bag. Like we all know it. We're all in on the joke, and it makes it funnier for it. Like,
Man, it probably would have been like sort of cheap, but there's a big part of me that wishes that Eli Roth had gone like full 70s with this movie, like he does with the Grindhouse trailer, where it's got like the film grain and it's in 4:3, and it's just got like the old Grindhouse look. I think I think it's fine. Like it's totally fine being modernized, but like the movie has such good Grindhouse sensibilities that there's like a part of me that yearns for that aesthetic a little bit.
Well, that's the kind of interesting thing is I think it's one of the few movies that modernizes exploitation really well.
Mhm.
Like
I can agree with that.
Again, much like Piranha 3D, it feels like it's a passing of the torch.
yeah, kind of in the same way that Malignant does that with Giallo. You know, also like it's very like there's not that much about Malignant that is Giallo other than they use some red gels from time to time. But like,
I mean,
it's
the
very much
the black glove killer,
Yeah, like,
the
it's the
like
hallmark.
extravagant knife. Like no,
Yeah, it is
I
the
mean,
hallmarks, but like it still feels like a modern film. Like they hit all
Yes.
those that sense. And Thanksgiving.
no, I think that's actually a great comparison, because I do think you're right. Like we talked about that on our Malignant episode, that Malignant does feel like a really great modern Giallo film, and this feels like a really great modern 70s exploitation.
And what's nice
film.
about that
Yeah.
is like what's important too is like we got to pay tribute to where we came from. You know, we got to like pay homage to the past. But if you just ape the past, it's pastiche, right?
Sure.
Like, and here it's like it's not. They're not just doing Grindhouse exploitation films with this movie. Like they're doing something new.
Yeah.
They're doing something like that's their own thing, and you know, like, but still standing on the shoulders of what came before. And like,
Yeah,
that's
well,
what you
and
gotta
I
do.
think
That's
I
important.
think the other thing with it is making the film look 70s will inevitably make it kind of niche. Where
Yeah,
I feel
it's
like
true.
This movie has like a weird kind of awesome crossover mainstream appeal to it that I haven't really seen in such a brutal like slasher movie in a long time.
I mean, it feels like it does feel like a modern slasher film, you know. And I guess I know I keep bringing it up, but only because it's one of Eli Roth's more recent films. It's like Green Inferno like tries to do the same thing. Like it tries to make be like a modern Cannibal Holocaust, and I think it does it so much worse than this movie does.
Yeah, well, Eli Roth has tried similar things several times over his career. Like, for example, one of the most recent movies before this he did was the
Death Wish remake.
Death Wish remake
Yeah.
with Bruce Willis, and like
I did not see that. I heard it was pretty bad.
it was pretty bad, and like very similar. Like it tries to modernize the Death Wish type of thing,
Yeah.
but it kind of flounders at it. Where this, I feel like it does so much better of a job. It just does an incredible job.
Yeah, I mean, geez, I guess he finally fucking did it. He whiffed with Green Inferno, he whiffed with Death Wish, and he finally made a good modern 70s exploitation film. Because yeah, I mean, I really did enjoy this movie a lot.
Same.
Yeah.
The next big kill we get is Tim Dillon, who seems like he's trying to flee the country, I guess.
Yeah.
He's trying to get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah, he's trying to get the hell out of Dodge, even though only one person has been killed.
A delightful Maine Coon cat.
Yes,
in his
beautiful,
apartment.
beautiful cat.
Beautiful cat.
Which plays heavily into the scene, and in a very satisfying. Always going in with these horror movies. You see one of the people who's obviously about to die has an animal. It's like, oh, is the killer going to kill the cat?
I don't know if I've ever rooted for a killer as much as this movie. Because again, the Black Friday setup, it's like, yeah, these are really the worst of the worst. These people suck.
I mean, they're all fucking...
They all deserve to go.
They're all fucking scumbags, for the most part.
I just want the killer to get by and murder these people and enjoy it fully. And it was clear the audience felt the same way. Everyone was laughing during the kills, and everyone was having a great time. And yeah, during this, there's the whole sequence, it's the usual, apartment stalker scene. He's, is he in the closet? Oh, is he here?
He puts down his passport on the table and then goes and looks out the window, and he turns around. The passport's not there anymore, and he's looking for it. And he comes back out, and the John Carver mask is sitting on the couch. So he grabs a baseball bat, and he's looking around. And I love the payoff for that, where he comes back into the living room and he sees the cat sitting in the kitchen on the counter, and he's talking to the cat, and he's like, well, he's trying to taunt the killer, come out and fight me, bro.
I love the threats he yells out, because he's like, I'm a security guard. I kill people every day.
I kill people every day, bitch. And it's and then he's talking to the cat, and he's like, I think the cat's name is Dewey or something like that. No, I'm thinking of Scream. I was going to say fucking Officer Dewey, in Cabin Fever, but no, that's Deputy Winston. Yeah. But Dewey is in Scream.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's talking to the cat. His name Dewey, and he's like, Dewey, is he in there? Show me where he is. And the cat's sitting there, and the cat kind of looks off to the left and then looks back at him.
He's like, oh, he is in the kitchen.
He's like, oh, is he in there? And then immediately the killer comes out from under the dining room table right in front of him and sticks an electric turkey carver in his stomach.
Man, I just love all of the themed murder devices.
Yeah, they hit
classic. You have to.
They check every box.
He stabs him with the turkey carver, but then he garrots him. He spins around and twists and
shit.
pulls. Well, yeah, and cuts his head off. And Tim Dillon's body falls, and the killer is his back is to the camera. He turns and looks over one shoulder, as the body falls.
Great.
It's so
it's
fucking
great.
It's so fucking anime. But yeah, then as he's on his way out the apartment, he turns and looks and sees the cat sitting next to its empty food dish, and then it just cuts to the cat eating from a full dish of food, and he gives a little scratch on the head as he then steps over Tim Dillon's body and goes out.
Dude, it was great. There was a lady next to me in my seat, and when he first turns around and looks at the cat, and we see the cat mewing for its food after he'd murdered this dude, and the lady next to me was just like, oh, he better feed that cat. He better not kill that cat. He better feed that cat.
And he does.
And it's great. And it's yes, that's what you do. And I thought that was what she was very happy. The lady next to me.
Very
yeah,
good bit.
I think that was quite fun.
The big through line is the killer has this Instagram, this Anon account, the John Carver or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he's sending cryptic posts out and tagging all of our group of Maine high schoolers. Mm-hmm. And after he kills Tim Dillon, he sets up this Thanksgiving table with the top half of the dead waitress and Tim Dillon's head
on a plate. Yeah. And all of the other plates at the table have place cards, and they all have the names of the various kids, so it's they know that whoever this psycho is, he's targeting us, right?
Yeah.
And so, they really have to start trying to figure out who could he be?
So what's interesting is we just did an episode on Exorcist Believer and talking about those filmmakers.
Ugh, don't remind me.
I'm sorry. It's worth noting because this film does something quite similar where it takes that the same bit of time to comedically introduce characters before killing them off, like Halloween Kills does.
Mm-hmm.
This movie does it so much better. Like, it's the same idea, but, like, they really nail it. Like, and I think one of my favorite examples is, what's her name? The girlfriend, you said her name a second ago, whose dad is, like, the Russian dad.
Yulia.
Yeah. Like, Yulia, they're all hanging out, and then, like, a fucking black van pulls up, and her dad comes and says, "We're going to Florida," and like they head back to their place, and she's packing, and like there's a sheriff who's there who's gonna escort them out. He's killed. You know, I like how like there's like clearly the dad is like Russian mob or something, but they don't really. There's no time to worry about what it is. You get the idea. Moving
I feel like that's a classic Eli Roth move of just introducing a weird eccentric character out of the blue.
Yeah.
And so like I love that whole sequence. You know, the dad, the sheriff is killed off, the dad is killed off, and then she's
Well, first she's like FaceTiming her boyfriend, who is the scuba character.
That's where we get one of the first like really good like subtle jump scares where like she's rounding the corner and to the left we see the killer silhouetted but she doesn't.
Yeah,
this
as she's
movie's
walking
full
out
of
of the
that, and they're
closet.
great.
Yeah.
I love all of those shots. They're timed like to the frame. They're edited perfectly, like where we just see him before the shot ends. Like
Well,
just hanging in the corner somewhere in the background. It's great. It's really good. It's
So
fun.
yeah, when the cop was over, the Russian dad had given him like a plate of leftovers or something, and so when the killer comes in and shoots the cop, he like drops it, and like an ear of corn like rolls across the floor,
right.
and it
This is
goes
in the trailer.
and it goes under the killer's boot, and yes, this part's in the trailer. Like the girlfriend is like FaceTiming her boyfriend, and she's like cleaning her ears out with a Q-tip.
Which are like that's a great way to set up like the texture of that kill.
Yeah.
You know, like we're already inside of her ear just about. Like we've got the Q-tip, we're very tactile, we're really like feeling that part of her, and it's reminding us of like, the feeling of our ears being cleaned.
Yeah.
Right before
Something being in your ear, yeah. And she like bends over to throw the Q-tip in the trash can, and when she sits back up at her makeup table, she sees the killer is right behind her in the mirror, and he stabs her in both ears with the
as if with
corn
the
holders.
Yeah. As if she was an ear of corn. And I that's great. And you really feel it because they set it up so well. And then she screams, she tries to get out of there. They do the audio thing where like we're hearing it through her, and it's like the ringing, the tinnitus ringing sound. But
because her eardrums have been punctured.
It's well done though.
corn
Like it
holders.
is like the sound design and engineering is like really good for that scene. She tries to escape,
and like Jessica and like Scuba show up, and Scuba has gotten a gun from like the weird like older
we
kid.
skipped past the party scene, and I do want to circle back.
Yeah,
later,
let's circle back to that.
yeah, there's so many things to touch on.
So like he shows up and he has a gun, and the killer is like holding the girlfriend like with like a knife to her throat, and their house is like being renovated, so there's like a bunch of plastic up and there's tools and shit, and as the killer like tries to get away, he like shoves the girlfriend away, and she falls on like a table saw, and it very gruesomely disembowels her. I think I thought it was very funny when the boyfriend is like holding her body on the ground. He's like, "What do? I don't know what to do. What am I supposed to do?"
It's funny, but it's also it very much is the kind of thing a person in shock would say.
Well, yeah, and right after
I find it to be funny, but also pretty earnestly disturbing.
Right after that, they cut to them both sitting on the couch afterwards, and our main character has like 1,000-yard stare.
Yeah.
Well, they both do, really. And they just look so traumatized by it. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, there's such a casual cruelty in this movie that, like,
absolutely.
in a movie that would take itself more seriously would feel like just kind of icky. Where in this movie, it strangely works.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think, like, real violence is like that, right? Like, it's not like it is in movies, you know. It's sudden and it's explosive and it's cruel, and you know, I think that Eli Roth does a really good job of like capturing that. It's the same kind of thing that like fucking, you know, Toby Hooper does in like Texas Chainsaw, where just like the violence just sort of explodes out of nowhere, you know, and then it's over and it sort of leaves you in like a state of shock.
Okay, so I do want to circle back.
Yes.
Because two of my favorite minor characters we kind of skipped over a little bit.
Yeah.
So there's this nerd character who kind of shows up early in this movie trying to sell tickets to a party that the burnout 30-year-old is trying to throw.
Every year he throws a Thanksgiving rager where he buys booze for all of the high school kids.
I really like the one-liner he has where that's set up, where he's waiting outside the high school parking lot when the protagonists are coming out of school, and they say, "Are you really selling guns to high schoolers? That's a real new low."
Because his dad owns the town gun shop.
Yeah, and he's like, "I'm not selling guns to high schoolers. I'm selling alcohol."
I'm selling alcohol.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
before
good.
that, it's set up too because you know, they mentioned that in the past years this party was free,
Right?
But now he's selling tickets for $25 a pop because, as the nerd puts it, he's been getting really into Shark Tank, so he's on his Mark Cuban shit.
He thinks he's Mark Cuban.
Which is just so good.
I love like the personality of that character too is just all over the walls of his house. There's all the good metal posters and shit. There's a big Crawl poster.
Yeah, he's got a Crawl poster.
Yeah, and like all of his guns are too big. Like the protagonists don't want like
he's got
like a desert.
He's
eagle.
got like a giant golden desert.
Yeah, he's like,
got
this is
the
good
whole-
for hunting grizzly bears, and he's like, I'm not trying to hunt a fucking grizzly
He's got
bear.
them all
like,
hidden in like super funny places. Like he picks up like the guitar case and he opens it, and it's just like it's not just like full of guns, but it's got like perfectly shaped like gun indentations.
Yeah.
Like
and he
it's-
opens a fake boombox, and
He
there's
opens up
a
the fake
giant
boombox.
44 Magnum.
I don't
Talk about doing Dirty Harry references with it.
I don't know if y'all noticed, but classic Eli Roth humor. Sitting on top of the jukebox was a coffee mug that says "I heart farting."
awesome.
I love earlier in that scene where you know the nerd and him are sitting outside of the party, or the nerd is being like the doorman.
They've got like a velvet rope set up in front of the door.
He looks like that meme where it's the dude in the sunglasses standing in front of the door. And letting people in.
Yeah, except like smaller and scrawnier.
Yeah, but he's like
just like a
4
little
foot
guy.
11 or
Yeah.
something. But some random teenagers come to the party and they're like, "I'm not sure if this is worth it. Why should I pay for this party?"
Oh.
And he goes into this big monologue about Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
And how when Ozzy Osbourne left Sabbath, people thought they were over, but little did they know.
Ronnie James Dio.
The evil little elf. All 5 foot.
Something.
Yeah, all 5 foot of him showed up and gave the band life that they never thought they'd have again. And then the kids, of course, say, who's Black Sabbath? What's Black
And he
Sabbath?
says, "Get the fuck out of here."
That felt like some fucking, like, old man
It
shit to me.
did, but it was funny.
It's funny, but it's also, it's like...
because it did, but it kind of knew that it was old man shit, and that made it work better because it's like the 30-year-old who's still in high school. It's like
it's that burnout.
It's the burnout like guy whose opinion doesn't matter, and so like it's kind of like him saying, you know, like that's himself. Like, it worked. I thought it was pretty funny.
Well, no, I'm just saying what I mean is old man shit is that, like, I'm sorry, I think even fucking Gen Alpha knows who Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath is. Like, that's like the most is like, oh, the kids don't know about the good music we had back in the day. The kids don't even know about Black Sabbath. It's like, I don't know if you could ask like a Gen Alpha kid to like name a Black Sabbath song, but
I think you'd be surprised, honestly.
Really? Yeah, maybe.
I don't know, man. We're getting old, dude.
I feel
Yeah,
old too, so I don't know. But I feel like even the kids know
But
Sabbath.
what I was talking about with like characters getting like kind of flavor to them, like that character has a ton of flavor, and the nerd character has a ton of flavor too. He sells essays to the jocks.
Yeah.
And I love how in that scene, like, he's wearing sunglasses inside.
Yeah.
To feel like he's doing a deal or something.
Yeah, like he's doing like a drug deal. Like they're doing it like under the stairs, a handoff. And he's like, the jock character's like, Miss So-and-so better, like, she better think this essay is hot shit, dweeb. And the kid is like, oh, I can promise you, she couldn't have written it better herself. And then like later we see them as like in what high school class do you stand up at your desk and read your essay aloud to the class?
I love the first essay that's read before his.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, we just catch the end of it because just the kid being like, and that's why I will not be celebrating Thanksgiving this year or ever again, and just like throws the paper down on the table.
He's got like fake tears coming over his, and he lifts his shirt up to wipe his tears, and he's like fully ripped with all of his abs.
And all the girls stand there like, oh my god.
Oh. Perfect commentary.
But
like,
yeah, then the
amazing, because like you've got a Thanksgiving movie. Like everyone's gonna be asking this movie like, oh, what's its commentary on how Thanksgiving is bad is gonna be, and instead it shows up with this like commentary on like how like it's making fun of performative behavior.
Yeah.
In the funniest way possible. Like the guy like with his ripped abs when he goes to wipe his fake tears of being like, oh, I'm so fucking cool for pointing out why Thanksgiving is bad. That's perfect. That's exactly what this movie needed to bring to the table, and nothing more.
Well,
like,
even funnier
fucking
is
great.
The,
I thought that
the
was
jocks.
really, that's probably the funniest.
The jock
movie.
goes next.
Yeah.
And he reads the essay that was sold to him on credit because the jock never paid the kid.
Right.
And he owed for like last month. And he reads like it's like an essay on Thanksgiving from the perspective of Native American tribes.
Mm-hmm.
They cut it in a way that makes it seem like the essay is like
two sentences long.
Yeah. Which I found very funny. But the teacher, says, "Wow, that was very good. Matter of fact, I wrote it in a blog."
Yeah, she's like, I really enjoyed hearing you read that listening to you read it after I wrote it on my blog last week or whatever. That was a funny bit. Shortly after that, the killer attacks them while they're in school, and like captures the jock and his girlfriend. I guess that's Addison Rae, right? Yeah. And, is then, like, chasing Jessica around. And I really love that bit because she runs into I guess they have, like a fucking cosmetology class at this high school or something. Because
It might have been theater.
Could have been theater, yeah, but there's a bunch of, like, mannequin heads that have wigs. It looks like they're what they practice like cutting hair on or whatever, and it's just like the room full of those, and Jessica is hiding by like crouching down amongst the mannequin heads, so like her head is sticking up too, which feels like some fucking Scooby-Doo shit.
Yeah.
But I thought was really fun and clever. And she's like trying to grab the scissors, but accidentally knocks a can of hairspray off the table.
She uses the hairspray to stun the killer. It's
to blind him, while he's coming after her.
Used. It's all fucking played out. It's great.
I will say
the
thing to get them to the school is the rivalry football game was going to be played.
That's right.
Between Plymouth and Hanover. And the scene right before, we get a great sequence where the Hanover star football player that we see at the front of the Black Friday stuff sneaks off with his girlfriend, and his girlfriend's doing this routine on a trampoline
Yeah.
And she stole
to
his shrimps for him.
seduce him.
Yeah, which is straight out of the original Thanksgiving trailer from the Grindhouse movies. It's a little tamer in this one, I would say.
I like how it's shot though, like the level of darkness as she like kind of like it's very exploitation as like the panties come off and like her top and the rest and like she's like leaping up and down on that and it's all like the sounds of the trampoline like thumping are supposed to like get our heart rates up and excited and then like at that moment where like the panties come off, like the next thump on the trampoline is the guy's head getting like ripped around, like to like fully pull us out of that like that trance. It's great. It's really fun. And we get this wonderful shot of her because she spun around because she's got her ass out like facing him and then she turns back afterwards like so excited with herself, like so proud of herself, and she sees that his head is like a Bugs Bunny bit, like perfectly twisted
all
around.
the way back
and
around.
It looks like a really good practical too. Like, it was great.
Yeah, it's a dummy.
Yeah, his head is like perfectly his head is like perfectly like torn around, and she has that moment of realization, and she screams, but she's still bouncing on the trampoline, and she goes up one more time, and then we see the knife come up from underneath the trampoline, and boom, she comes down, and then boom, she comes down again.
Yeah.
And,
like over and over again, in different places, like as she's stabbed to death on the trampoline.
Yeah.
Very creative.
And I will say, like, this is something that's directly referenced from the Thanksgiving Grindhouse trailer. But I think the Grindhouse trailer is a lot more sleazy with it because she does the jumping splits onto the trampoline and gets stabbed right through the pussy. Where this one kind of is a little more tasteful.
Yeah,
with
right at the beginning of her routine, she does a jumping split.
Yeah, which
on
is
the
a
trampoline.
nice little reference.
Nice little reference, yeah. But then
he's already done it that way in that Thanksgiving.
Right, and then like when she comes down, it like severs like her Achilles tendon, and then she like falls, and the knife comes up and like stabs her in the back or whatever.
Yeah, but after that happens, they cancel the football game, and we get one of my favorite throwaway little lines because the main jock is so mad that the football game is canceled that he storms off because he decides he's just gonna play by himself.
Yeah, and Scuba's like, you can't play football alone, dude. What are you doing, you idiot?
And he's like, just watch me.
Yeah. We're gonna run longer than the movie if we hit every one of these kills.
It's true. There's a lot.
Forward. We're gonna run too long. So like, let's just hit the hallmark again. Like, just watch the movie.
Yeah,
like,
He's a sleepy little baby right now. He's fully prone.
I'm lying down on my side.
He is right. We're already running long. We do need because there's the ending to talk about.
The truth. Yeah.
But we should talk about the parade sequence because this is like a big.
So good.
This is like a big moment. They decide they're gonna try to use like our protagonists as bait at like the Thanksgiving Day parade to lure the killer out, because they're up on the Right Mart float or whatever, and the ex-manager stages another protest. They see a lot of people wearing the John Carver mask dressed as pilgrims. They see the police like stopping them, and one of my absolute favorite gags in this is, like, in the parade, there's somebody dressed as, like, an evil clown.
It's like a killer clown from outer space.
Yeah, it's like a killer clown's mask, and it's, like, very out of place, and just, like, out of nowhere, it just like this person just like pulls out a machete and chops off the head of the dude wearing the big like pilgrim turkey costume, which again straight out of the Grindhouse trailer. But I just love that like they're at this parade and they're looking at all of the people dressed as like the pilgrim or whatever, and then the killer is just dressed like a literal killer clown.
Yeah, like the one who would normally look like the most serial killer of the lot.
Right, exactly.
funny.
And it's like so, like truly so out of place, but they're all looking for like somebody dressed as John Carver, so they're just not even thinking about the extremely out of place Killer Clown.
After that, there's an accident, and the ship float, the very front of the ship, goes through the truck carrying it.
One of the most brutal.
It is.
Yeah.
And it goes through the head of like this dad who's driving the float. And it goes like straight through the back of his head and out the front. And the practicals are so gnarly. Like you see his nose like ripped and pulled to the side of it as like his blood just keeps spurting around the beam.
Yeah.
Onto his kids.
Onto
like,
his
little
young
kids.
children
Yeah.
who are sitting in the cab
Which
next
is,
to him. It's
yeah,
crazy.
again, like cynical, gruesome, over the top.
It's so horrible.
But wow, like incredible. Like I can't fault it. It's so well done. Yeah, that whole sequence is just like there's so much happening. It's so chaotic, and it's really well done. I thought it was great.
But geez, then the Killer Clown uses like a dart gun to like knock out
The main family,
the whole family and everybody, and then like, God, then we have the whole sequence at the fucking
sequence
at the house where, or like the old
really,
abandoned house where they're all tied up. There's this whole
to
like,
sum it up, the girl, like we didn't even mention like after her mom died, there's a stepmom character who shows up, and this is like there's a whole sequence from the perspective of the stepmom where she's trying to escape. I love it. She's tied up and he's slowly basting her.
Yes.
And like he's putting like the audience like kept laughing at this too because it was really funny. Like he keeps cutting to like frankly like and funny because it's Eli Roth, but like Tarantino-esque shots of her feet getting
like,
basted.
And
then like him like comedically like placing the
parsley
like,
between
parsley
her toes.
her
toes. Too.
But like, the toe shots is like that's got to be like a jab at Tarantino, right?
I'm just saying he's doing that for his boy Quentin. He knows Quentin's gonna be watching this, and he's giving him a little something.
Yeah, a little something for
he's
boy
giving
Tarantino.
He's giving him a little something.
Yeah, like all those feet shots for Tarantino.
He's doing it for his boy. He's doing it for his boy Quentin.
God, wild. But like again, like it worked because like again, like every
it's
time
so
like,
funny
when the parsley goes between her toes, like again, like the whole audience was like fucking giggling and laughing at it. And he's got the oven going. We all know what's happening. She's going to turn into a turkey.
There's a whole
but she
prolonged
gets up
sequence
and he
of her
chases her. But I love it
running
because
around.
we get the other thing. We definitely want to check off the list. We've got our axes, we've got our knives, we've got everything else, and he hunts her down
Gets
with
the
a pitchfork.
As she's running out the door to escape, he just throws it like a spear and gets her in the
Javelin,
back
yeah.
and like pulls her back into the house by the pitchfork, and then we cut to her in the oven being roasted.
Yeah,
he puts
her in the
he puts
oven.
a little meat thermometer in her, and like after
because like, she's already starting
like,
to burn alive, and then he pops open the oven and he just jabs her with a meat thermometer for extra meat.
and then like right as she dies, like the thermometer like pops up.
Yeah.
It's like she's done.
And that sequence when she's in the oven, it reminded me of the sequence from Saw 2.
Yeah, where the dude has to go into like the crematory, the oven to like get the.
It's really gruesome, like because once again, like it's so funny because she's been made into a turkey.
Yeah.
But even still, like when she kicks at the door of the oven, we see like the skin come off of her feet and like the rest of her as like her fingers begin to like curl up from the heat. It's really. Yeesh, it's really heavy. It's great.
And then
Eli Roth, like throughout this movie, like he's just constantly, like masterfully balancing camp with true horror, and it works. It works.
And then he serves her at the Thanksgiving table where he's got all of our protagonists.
He carves out some of her thigh.
Yeah, he's cut off her head and he's trussed her up like a turkey, which again straight out of the Grindhouse trailer.
What do you think about him monologuing?
Oh, I loved it. I thought his voice sounded cool. I like how he's got his little microphone in front of the mask and he's live streaming. I thought it was great. I thought it was fun.
Honestly, I
vocal
like
effects
how
were neat.
he puts the mask on top of the oven earlier, and it kind of burns on the side.
Yeah.
And like this half-burnt mask with the pilgrim get up and everything while he's monologuing felt so iconic, honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
He replaced the mask.
He had replaced the mask at that point. He's wearing the burnt mask while he's hunting the stepmom
That's right.
down.
Yeah.
But then we see him grabbing a new mask and putting it on. So by the time he's like monologuing at the table, he's got a new mask, which I was kind of surprised. Like, I thought for sure he was going to be wearing the burnt mask for the rest of the movie. Like you said, it does feel like very cool and iconic, and like it's a good look. I was kind of disappointed that he replaced
Well, I think because like Halloween already did it. Like I like that, you know, he gets away with it as a one-off, but like doing
I
it
guess.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
this
I mean,
whole movie
like-
is an homage to like every slasher movie.
unlike
ever
Halloween, we
made.
get a
Like,
monologuing villain.
That's true. Yeah.
which I liked. I thought it was good. It's very Scream. It's kind of Saw-esque, where they're all tied up and he's doing like his vocally augmented speech. It was fun.
I like how they fucking escape because before like the parade or whatever, like the weird like older kid who's obsessed with guns comes up to like our protagonist and he's like, "Here, I want to give you this ring. This was my dad's ring that he wore in Iraq." And it's he'd wear it for luck.
Just because like he's just so insistent that she has a gun earlier on. Like he's like, you really should take this knife, take a
But
tactical knife.
So he gives her his dad's Iraq War ring, which of course, you know, is then revealed in that scene. It has a little spring blade in it, like a tiny.
Which I mean,
one
it's really like
that she's
incredibly
able to-
dangerous to give to someone not knowing that that's a feature.
Right, it's like you
of
should
it.
tell them about that
Cut
when
your
you're
finger
going to
off
give it,
doing
because
that,
he's literally just like, "This is my dad's Iraq
very in
War
character.
ring. You can wear it for luck." She uses that to like cut their ropes. We really do gotta wrap this up, but ultimately after a pretty good amount of chasing and some misdirections with like the old ex-boyfriend showing up and thinking that he's the killer, it's revealed that dun dun dun, fucking Sheriff Patrick Dempsey was the killer all along because he was having an affair with the Right Mart manager's wife. So when she died, he had a picture of an ultrasound, so I guess she was pregnant. He's like, she was gonna leave him and come be with me. So you killed my family. I had to watch my family die on that day.
And it's great because this is all in the parade barn where they're originally going to catch the killer.
Yeah.
They'd all given up. They'd all gone home. So now it's empty apart from the sheriff and Jessica, our protagonist.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, it felt inventive, and like, I was worried that like, with this big setup into a whodunit, like, my biggest worry is it's going to be something obvious or like sloppily handled.
Well, they do a misdirection where they try to be like, oh, it actually was the ex-boyfriend all along, and it's like, I was gonna be frustrated if that was it, because it's like they set him up as like such an obvious red herring. It's like, oh, he's actually the killer, but then they're like, no, it's Patrick Dempsey, and it's like, I feel like I did sort of predict that pretty early on, just because, like, he never feels really upset or off-put by all of this. I feel like throughout the whole investigation, he's, like, too generally cheerful. What I do really like, though, what I will say, is the very first shot of the film is a Halloween-style, like, POV of somebody walking up the steps to a house, and you can, like, hear their breathing, like, very Michael Myers, and it's like they're walking up to the door and getting closer, and then it cuts to, the Right Mart manager opening the door, and we see the person on the doorstep is Patrick Dempsey. So I feel like looking back on that, it's like the very first shot of the film is a killer POV shot, and it actually is our killer.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that is a nice little sort of, like,
I feel like
a nice little tip-off.
I feel like it's not overly telegraphed.
No, I
which
don't
is
think so
nice,
either.
But there's enough here and there.
You
like,
feel smart
the
for
beginning,
getting it.
especially.
Yeah,
For
that's
like
fine.
horse smarks like us, like we can pretty much
Yeah.
gather it, which is nice.
So, you know, it's revealed he starts coming after her with an axe, and it moves into the greater warehouse.
Yeah, she turns the valve on his tank and it starts inflating this big turkey slowly. They hop into like the ex-boyfriend's like tow truck. His dad owns the local tow company or whatever. They're trying to drive out and Patrick Dempsey like grabs the tow cable and manages to loop it around a pillar to stop the tow truck, and he's like coming towards them. And earlier in the movie we had seen like the gun kid at the football game or whatever, like firing off like an old musket. And we get a very
Heavy-handed.
a very heavy-handed obvious line from our protagonist Jessica being like, "Oh, I remember that musket. My dad made me use it in that Right Mark commercial that we did a few years ago, and he made me load it so many times I could probably pack that thing in my sleep." And it's like the most obvious
Damn.
Chekhov's gun.
I wonder if that's going to come up again.
And it's like, yeah, as the sheriff is like standing over her with an axe, like ready to kill her, she grabs up the musket that was in the back of the tow truck for some reason. And
Don't worry about it.
Two favorite details from that. One, the bullets roll off because they're old school.
Yeah, they're musket balls.
Musket
Yeah.
balls. And so she takes her necklace with a picture of her dead mom in it.
oh yeah, her bracelet that
Yeah.
has a little locket on it.
And packs it as the bullet, which is really fun. And then she has a great one-liner, which
be any
repeats what the
leftovers.
killer says.
Yeah.
This year there'll be no
There
leftovers.
will be no leftovers. And instead of shooting him, even though he's standing right in front of her, to be dramatic, she aims behind him and shoots the big inflatable turkey, which causes a massive explosion.
Well, it's good because, like, muskets are infamous for not being accurate. So instead of trying to shoot the killer and miss, she shoots the literal broadside of a barn just about.
I mean,
a
I
massive
guess
balloon.
the killer is like a foot away from her.
Oh, whatever. Yeah.
was
And, like,
factoring in
You see she's aiming at him, and then it has a close-up shot of her moving, adjusting her aim to shoot behind him
Yeah, to make
to
a
create a
big
big
explosion.
explosion.
is what it should be.
And
You know,
then
it's like XCOM, where you're standing point blank and
yeah,
99%.
So we-
99%.
So we have our aftermath. Everyone's recovering. You know, the EMTs have arrived, etc. And we get the thing that probably my only real critique of this movie is we get the same shot from The Guest, which I think The Guest was also paying homage to something when it did it, where we see one of the firemen wearing their mask, and it's like, oh,
They do that
it's the
in
killer.
fucking the My Bloody Valentine
Yeah,
3D remake too,
Yeah.
where fucking Jensen Ackles escapes by pretending to be a fireman.
Yeah, it's an old like
And they've
cliche, and they don't really do anything unique with it.
Because the cops are like, one of the cops is saying, we searched the whole warehouse and we didn't find any body or anything. A fire that bad must have reduced it all to ash. And she's like looking around, seeing like the firemen walking out, and they've all got like the gas masks and stuff on, and she's like paranoid about it. And then like, yeah, it just kind of, I will say that it does have kind of a clunky ending a little bit, with her like having like
I didn't mind it. It is clunky, though.
a nightmare of like the flaming killer coming out of her closet and grabbing her, but then she just wakes up and then she just looks at her closet and then it cuts to credits. Like, it's fine. I don't know. It feels like it kind of stumbles there a little bit, like just like
It's a little messy, but I kind of like that.
trips
The whole
across
movie, the movie
trips
is
across the finish line a little bit, but yeah, I mean, over and then like really nice, fun grindhouse style credits.
Some fucking Danzig.
Yeah, with some fucking
soundtrack.
Danzig, and you noticed somebody in the credits who was the CEO of Cream.
There was a whole cream department.
There was a Cream crew. I don't know what I don't know what that means.
Me either.
You and me, boys, we're the cream crew.
Yeah,
I
the
think
cream
it's the
crew.
first time I've seen that credit.
Yeah, it must be like some company that they hired for like Crafty or something.
Yeah.
Like it's got to be. It was far enough towards the end of the credits like that. Like it's got to just be like somebody that they contracted for something.
Yeah.
A company called Cream.
Yeah,
like
it must be.
but yeah, CEO of Cream, and yeah, and then there was what we thought was going to be a post-credit sequence that just turned out to be a blooper, which was fine and fine.
That had to be nostalgic.
Bring back bloopers.
Yeah.
I love a
Bring
blooper.
back a
Great.
blooper reel during the credits is what I say.
It was great. It was cool. I'm glad they had a little blooper.
Well, it's fun because it's the dad, the character actor that kind of looks like Murr. The shot goes on for a little too long, so he flips off the camera.
Yeah.
And it's like him flipping off the audience for sitting there so long.
Yeah, for sitting through the credits looking for
Fuck us.
yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
Let's rate it.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Go first.
Honestly, I fucking loved this movie. Like, coming out of this screening I almost felt like this is probably what it felt like to come out of, like, the opening night of seeing, like, a classic slasher movie. Like Scream
okay.
or Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, I think this movie is gonna be remembered for decades.
Okay.
I think
hope so.
this is one of the best slasher movies we've gotten in over 10 years. And probably my favorite, like, exploitation adjacent movie since Piranha 3D. This
Okay.
is an easy 5 out of 5 for me.
Wow.
And probably my favorite Eli Roth movie.
I am having a hard time thinking of why it shouldn't be a 5. Like, there's nothing about this movie I didn't love. I didn't like a lot. I am neutral on a lot of Eli Roth stuff. I'm not a big Eli Roth fan or an Eli Roth head like Ben is over here. But this movie was, I think, really like Eli Roth's best across the board. I think it's his best comedy. I think it's his best horror. I think it's some of his best practicals. And I feel like I really need to cheer on a slasher film in 2023 that relies so heavily on practicals. So I'm going to give it a 5 as well. That might go down with time. My thoughts of like Cabin Fever did. I wouldn't rate it as highly. I know you guys disagree, but like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't see any reason not to give this movie a 5. It's a joy. It's a great movie.
Well, I'm sorry to keep it from Golden Pod status. I liked
Boy.
I liked
Do
this
you?
movie a lot. I did. I liked this movie a lot. I hope it will attain, some sort of cult classic status. I don't think it's my favorite Eli Roth movie. I think I like Cabin Fever and Hostel over this movie. But it probably is the best slasher since Malignant, probably, I think. Unless you're counting something like Barbarian. I don't think
I
Barbarian
feel like this
really...
is more of a straight slasher than even Malignant was.
Yeah, but I like it more.
It is, but-
I like Malignant more.
But I think I also slightly prefer Malignant. But
Did I
anyway,
give Malignant a 5?
you did not.
Well, oh well.
I
Alright,
did.
give it a 5.
I did like this movie a lot, and it really did. It met and exceeded my expectations, and I'm going to give it a very strong 4 out of 5. Absolutely recommended. We need more goofy
Holiday horror.
Yeah.
movies. So that'll give Thanksgiving a strong average of 4.7 out of 5, and a resounding recommendation.
I gotta say, too, honestly, a surprising lack of jump scares.
Yeah, there were
Like-
some. The dude who was sitting next to me jumped a lot. He jumped easier than I did.
But, like,
they
they weren't really cheap ones like you
No.
see all the time.
No. Absolutely not.
I mean, it's obvious that this movie was just made with so much passion. So
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Yeah, great film. Very much enjoyed it. Next week, it's Cleveland's pick.
That's right.
What are we doing?
We are doing a classic. I picked Predator in the past. I've picked RoboCop. I'm gonna keep rolling with those 80s Hallmark classics. we're gonna watch OG Terminator.
The Terminator.
We're gonna we're gonna round the year out with the motherfucking Terminator.
Big Jim Cameron.
He can't stop. He just keeps coming.
Right around the time that episode comes out, rather, is going to be when they release the director's cut of The Abyss back into theaters. So it's Big Jim season.
Big Jim season. It's always Big Jim season.
Fuck yeah. All right, cool. Well, yeah, join us next week as we talk about the Terminator.
We will be back.
We will be back. Oh my god.
All right, yeah, very quick sponsor. All right, ladies and gentlemen, because we're going over time, I'm going to speak a little bit fast. Here we go. The sponsor this week is the Knife Man. He's coming. He's knifing, and he's coming for you. Knifing. He's the Knife Man. Knife Man. There you go.
Wow, that was perfect. After a movie about an axe man, we are sponsored by the Knife Man. The Knife Man.
The Knife Man cometh.
All right, the Knife Man cometh. Thank you for listening. If you like the show, leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening to this. Support us on Patreon at patreon.com/podpeoplepod. Shout out to our honorary pod boys, Sam, Zach, Micah, Mitchell, Jans. The list keeps growing.
Join the list.
You can be one of those too. You can follow us at letterboxd.com/podpeoplepod, where you'll find a list of all the films we've talked about on the show with our average ratings and links to those reviews. My extracurricular recommendation for the week is Burden of Dreams, the Les Blank documentary about the making of Werner Herzog's Fitzcarraldo. Watch Fitzcarraldo first, but then watch Burden of Dreams. It's one of the best documentaries I've ever seen about the making of a movie. Just fucking wild shit. They pulled a boat over a mountain.
Just that documentary is incredible. The bit about the indigenous people offering to kill Klaus Kinski for.
I think that part is from My Best Fiend, but it is from the filming of Fitzcarraldo.
Yeah.
They don't talk about that in Burden of Dreams, but the natives offered to kill Kinski for Herzog.
So good. Yeah, my recommendation, a couple nights ago, I watched what might be in the running for, like legendary Room-esque So Bad It's Good movies.
Oh.
It's on Tubi. It's called The Paradise Motel. It stars this very strange-looking woman. She kind of runs off from her abusive husband and drives to the Paradise Motel. And there's a weird cast of characters there that have strange backgrounds. It's very incoherent. All the characters that aren't shown on screen are voiced by what sounds like Siri or Microsoft Sam.
Excellent.
Just amazing movie. It's on Tubi. It's 70 minutes. Go watch it.
Go play the Mortuary Assistant. It's really good. Goodbye.
Whoa. Goodbye. Happy Thanksgiving.